You're watching the KUSI News at 6.
Welcome back. We're talking about police staffing shortages that continue to not only plague San Diego, but many big cities across the country. Officer morale and trust in officers are at all-time lows, according to a Gallup poll. Former San Diego Police Officer Reserve Mark Powell recently wrote an op-ed calling for patrol numbers to be doubled. He's here to talk about that right now. Mr. Powell, it's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Rafer.
So talk about the op-ed. You want us to see more officers on the streets.
Well, after the death or murder of George Floyd, we saw a big decrease in police morale and also a national push to defund the police. This was obviously the wrong way to go because that defund the police movement did not work, and luckily San Diego did not defund their police department. However, public sentiment against police officers is in an all-time low. Recruiting officers is really challenging. So one of the best ways to build trust with law enforcement is to have them become part of the fabric of the community. That requires them to come out of their cars, meet with business owners, community leaders, teachers, students, the person at the grocery store. They need to build relationships, but however, they can't do that because there's not enough officers on the street. Officers today are going from one priority call to another. Now, priority call is a domestic violence call or maybe a gun involved in a crime. These calls, you just don't show up and then leave in 5 minutes. It takes an officer off the streets.
And I was reading the op-ed that the response times are sometimes upwards of 30 minutes. I know in Chicago they were trying to do that as well with more community involvement, but you bring up a good point. They don't have the time to go and do that. How do you get more officers on the force right now? Because like you said, morale is low. A lot of people don't want to sign up for this job anymore. So how do you incite them to do it?
Well, first of all, you have to pay them more. We're going to start right there because in San Diego, the average rent is about $3,000 a month, and a lot of the police officers, they can't even afford to work in the city that they're serving and protecting. So what we have to do is raise their salary. But second, we also need to have them trained better. So what I mean by that is 20% of a police officer's work week should be dedicated to training. They need de-escalation training. They need training in active shooting training. They need physical fitness training. They need cultural diversity training. They can't do this training because they're not able to leave their cars. They're not even leave their patrol beat.
Right, because they're so busy. And the other thing you mentioned is, I think law enforcement and crime penalties go hand in hand as well. A lot of people believe that. You mentioned Prop 47, and I talk to officers in other markets. They say, look, I arrest these people. I know they're just going to get let right back out on the street, so why bother? So there just need to be stiffer penalties for criminals.
Yeah. Prop 47 is a failed experiment in criminal justice reform. When you can go into a grocery store with a calculator and calculate under $950 and walk out, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be cited and released. They may take you in, but you're going to be back on the streets to steal again. So that law needs to be repealed or changed or amended in some way, because what it's doing is it's handcuffing the police. They can't do their job. The police shouldn't be handcuffed. The criminals should be handcuffed, and they're the ones who need to pay the price for stealing or open drug use or committing all sorts of different crimes that we're seeing happening, and that's all due to Prop 47.
All right, Mark Powell, great to meet you, sir. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully we will listen to you, get more officers on our streets to keep us safer.